In this lesson, we're going to talk about how to do pre-screens for programs. So for example, before somebody comes into a program like your counseling or your transitional housing or your child witness or even shelter, for example, you can create a pre-screen with them, and that's important to ascertain that your program is the right program for them, and also perhaps you're going to determine their needs or challenges at that time. As of October 2020 in Ontario, this has become a rather important step in answering some statistics that the government is asking for. So when you do a pre-screen, what's important to know is you need to create a workbook for the person if it doesn't already exist. So I'm going to use the one that we've already done previously. So I'm going to go in and find the workbook for Cindy Peterson. Now, if the person that you're doing the pre-screen with doesn't have a workbook, you need to create one so that you can log it. At least that's the way we've got it set up in our demo, which is what we're recommending. To record the fact that the pre-screen has happened, you're going to go to the time log tab. At the end of the pre-screen, you're going to record that as a time log. So you're going to create a new time log entry. You're going to pick today's date, whatever that happens to be for you. In our demo under the code section, you see we put a couple of codes in here for child witness. We put a CWINT if this was a child witness intake assessment. We've done one for the counseling program. We've coded that in here as ORINT. But for this lesson, I want you to assume you're doing an intake assessment for the transitional housing program, and you're going to pick that code. It's very simple to do. You just pick the code. You indicate the amount of time that you spent doing that pre-screen. So let's say we spent 45 minutes with that client, Cindy Peterson. You also indicate how you conducted it. So I'm going to pick in person in English. You can put some details down here if you want. You don't have to, but I can do intake assessment completed. As I said, the writing of the detail is optional. Now here's the difference between this and other time log codes. Time log codes can be set up so that they have a form attached, and that's what I've done with this. So you notice when I click on the save button here, it's going to pop up this message and tell me that this time log requires a form. And as soon as I click OK, it will load that form onto the screen. Now we've made our pre-screen really simple. It just has a single question in there and wants to know what the result of the intake is. So I can indicate that we invited the client to the program, or that the program is full, so we had to refer them elsewhere, or it was full, but we put them on a wait list. Or the fourth one down here is services aren't appropriate, so we're going to refer them to more appropriate. These are really important because they funnel into the statistics that your funder is asking for. In this case, I'm going to indicate that we invited the client to the program by selecting this and clicking the Save button. Now this pre-screen form is relatively simple. There's one question, but it's not out of the question that your administrative team may have an intake form or an assessment form with additional questions. For example, you might have a question that would detail the types of challenges or services that they're requiring, or perhaps another question that requires how far they have to come to the appointments or how they're planning to get to the appointments. And these are all important because they build statistics. Anyway, in our demo, we just have a single question. I've answered it and I've saved it. So I'm going to close that form now. All right, so that's the lesson. I want you to follow the instructions in your printed detail for the course and give that a try.